Mighty Presence, Mother of God, fill us with love. Fill us with love. Fill us with love. And so it is, beloved hearts. I, Lord Maitreya, fulfill the eternal law, not of laws, the eternal law of grace. I am a living example before you. Before I place my attention upon the likes of you, I place my attention upon God. Best, you try better to do this in your personal lives. Greetings, beloved friends. I thank you for your very generous applause, taking into consideration what I have planned. Please make yourselves comfortable. Just kidding. Now, beloved hearts, here we are. I hope you understand the deeper meaning of my name, Maitreya. Maitri, Sanskrit, means friend, friendship. So you see, mighty victory is not your only dear friend of the light. Maitreya is in the building. Covenant is open. Let's get down to work. The Queen of Heaven graciously prepares you in her last Tree of Life class that is just before the weekend covenant, whether it is mine, whether it is her own covenant, whether it is a son's covenant, or whether it is to be Mighty Victory's covenant, which, if all things work out, ought to be taking place in Philadelphia. Let us hope sooner rather than later. Possibly 2021, possibly 22. Let's see if he can pull off 21. Yes? God bless you, dear hearts. What a journey that you have been on. Things today are quite different. What initiates have been told, what they have been taught in times past, some of those things remain. Many of them have been set aside because the great divine director known as the Director Logos, who oversees all life streams in the solar system, has granted the people of Earth a seventh golden age of 10,000 years, the last opportunity to get it right. And if the people of Earth are to get it right, and if the history of the people of Earth is also considered, then there must come amongst the people who stand head and shoulders above the throngs of the masses, who are willing to be future leaders, willing to live by example, to demonstrate by example, in which there are many in the masses who become followers until they themselves can demonstrate the truths of the future spiritual leaders of Earth. Now, beloved hearts, the Buddha, who is of my bloodline, and I will explain that, because you might, if you don't have too much inertia in your minds, you might use your minds wisely and ask questions more, such as, how is it possible for Lord Maitreya to have a family on the earth that is made of his bloodline? Leto, Kuan Yin, Gautama Buddha. They are all of my bloodline. How is that possible, you might ask, considering Lord Maitreya has not taken on an earthly embodiment on your earth? Any avatar serving in your system of worlds must take on an embodiment to serve in your solar system. Like Mighty Victory, I came to Venus. Now, beloved hearts, no matter what you understand or what the American government considers an alien, anyone outside their borders is an alien. But regardless, the people of Venus, their embodiments are like yours. Have you ever looked at the goddess of Venus? Sanat Kumara? Mighty Victory? My own handsome Maitreya ship? We are not some one-eyed aliens. We look like you. Because in coming into your system of worlds to be of service, we chose embodiments that are relatively, for the most part, close to your embodiments. You know that the Buddha, you know that Kuan Yin, if you've been paying attention to your studies, you know that beloved Leto, all visited Venus. In doing so, they had to take on a Venusian physical embodiment. I was already there. And they were born of my bloodline in Venus, therefore they are my family. It is suggested in Buddhism that Gautama the Buddha is not the final Buddha. He is not the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva. Supreme Buddhist. The Buddha that comes after Gautama. The fifth Buddha. The Buddha that in Buddhism suggests that the Bodhisattva will walk amongst the people of earth, will, like Jesus the Christ, come at what may be considered humankind's lowest hour, when there are a few select individuals who have been searching for God consciousness ever since the advent of the Buddha's presence 500 years before the presence of Jesus the Christ. That's right. That's what you've heard. You understand correctly. You have been on this path for 2,500 years. Give or to 10 or 20. Understood? It is said that those who seek God will be sorted out from the sands of mass consciousness and set upon themselves a path in accordance to the century that they find themselves upon. And unknown to themselves, which were you, set themselves upon the initiate's path to fulfill the sacred diamond points of the cross that must be fulfilled. The cross of Messiahship, the cross of Christ consciousness, the 4 points of the journey: to seek, to find, to realize, to experience. 4 points that span generations of time. Congratulations, beloved hearts. You are 3/4 the way through of the journey. You only have 1/4 the way, and the last quarter is the easiest, because it is the second and the third quarter. To seek God consciousness, that's the first. To seek, to find, to realize, to experience. This is where Mother is taking you now. And I come to arm you with tremendous spiritual powers that you may experience what you have been seeking, that you may come to experience what you have found, that you may come to experience, which requires centuries of realizations to break down the inertia of duality that has been playing out in your minds and the very flesh of your physical bodies. For this reason, you recycle yourselves in and out, in and out. You're like an old washing machine, consciously recycling yourselves in and out of lifetime after lifetime. You are amongst the few, the less than 1%, initiates, neophytes, aspirants. Why aspirants? Not from the word aspirin. Because you aspire. You aspire. Words that come from different centuries of time. You have been seeking, you found. And based upon what you found, you required teachers to give you a deep spiritual realization of what you have found. And you also, to undo the mess of duality, you must also demonstrate that you have a realization of the error that exists in your world. Error that reports to you as mistakes, lack, limitation, disease, and all these things. Before I go any further, there have been others who have walked this path. And most of them have been walking the path for 5,000, 6,000 years. So you've been doing this current path 2,500 years since the advent of Gautama the Buddha. Yet before Gautama the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, there was a very, very special event that went unnoticed by the mass of the people. The return of the princess of the 5th Golden Age, Nada, who left a record of her ascension 300 years before Gautama, 800 years before Jesus. That became a separating line, which all who would begin to seek God consciousness would come under a new dispensation. Those who were seeking and finding and realizing and opening the way for the experience were all graduates. 5, 6, 7, 8,000 years ago. They graduated. And you might be comforted, or not, that their lives had just as many difficulties, woes, anxieties, and challenges as yourselves. And they did not have the perks of modern technology, electricity, plumbing, and more. So you look at the lives of those. Moses, Elijah, and even the more modern mystics such as the Buddha and Jesus. They all had many woes. For Gautama, he knew that the only way he was going to have some answers to what he saw when he left the palace was to leave behind a life of majesty, of all the perks, and go out and begin seeking, searching for an answer. It is now time for everything to be put in front of you, that ye may seek the experience for all the right reasons. There are many in the people of the world, if you ask them, do you believe in God? Yes. Yes, I believe in God. If you are able to look inside them like I can, you will see something else. You will see that it's very possible to believe and know for the wrong reasons. And that is why we seek to illumine you at the right reason, at the right time, so that you'll have the right reasons to continue. For many a person questioned in the outer world will say, yes, of course I believe in God. Yes, I know God exists. If you could look inside them, you would see that there's a reason why they believe. And it's the wrong reason. It's a pitiful reason. They might as well be telling you, of course I believe in God. Because I fear what might happen to me if I didn't believe in God and God proves to be real. I fear what would happen to me. So yes, I believe in God. Believing for all the wrong reasons. So, beloved hearts, Mother Akasha, she has great authority. And she began to speak into a few pieces, just a general outline of what my family will cover this weekend. She opened her class without context. She simply said, "Good evening. Are you ready for," and she paused. And then she said, "the experience." Are you ready for the experience? The students in Vancouver intuitively thought that this is a good thing that she's talking about. Hip, hip, hooray. Yes, mother, we're ready for the experience. All the students look at each other and this is going to be good, right? The experience. And then she explained the path that you have all been on for some 2,500 years. And the first 2,450 years are the hardest. So that puts you smack right into this life. Yes? Why is it so difficult? Even the mystics, and I just named a few, they all had their woes. They had their anxiety. Why does it take so long? So now it's revealed to you. This path, said differently, is a quest. There are 4 points to this quest. You must seek. First of all, you must know what it is that you're seeking. You must seek God. you must find God, you must realize God, and you must experience God. And when you have done all thoroughly, and the experience of God is something that is a continuous, it happens every day, because now you are ready to live a life of meditation and study while you are going about the daily activities of your life, which is why everything is different now than even 300 years ago, and why the mystery schools are closed. The idea being that you wouldn't have to go through much anxiety, through all the woes, and all the lack and limitation and disease that other mystics were faced, except, of course, for what your own life proves necessary to remove whatever inertia is left in your mind. Inertia. It's the things that keep you from striving. It's the lazy, undisciplined mind. It is the mind that an individual uses to refuse to discipline themselves. It's the range of mediocrity. It feeds mediocrity. And that is why in the world you have 99% followers. But every once in a while you have an individual who pushes themselves, disciplines themselves, and becomes the best at whatever is their passion, their career, and makes a difference. Let me be clear. For 2,500 years, right up to this now moment, you have sought, you have found, and through Mother's teachings, and the tree of life is the most profound source to give you the realizations of what you have found. Because you must realize deeply the nature of God. Because you will not find it in the religions of the world. You will not find it in any paganistic religion of this world. And there are very few metaphysical paths that have the authority and the overlighting presence to take you the whole distance. It's not just this life. It's the lives that you have lived for almost 2,800 years. Through the wheel of reincarnation, over and over, coming back into your life, becoming an adult, once again, a new embodiment, scratching your head. Oh, what was it that I was looking for again? I ran out of steam in the last body I used up. What was it that I was looking for? Then you got to figure out another 10 years to figure out what it was that you were looking for so that you can start looking for it again. It's the journey of the neophyte, the aspirant, the initiate, the 4 points of the cross of messiahship: to seek, to find, to realize, to experience. Think, beloved hearts, love your Mother Akasha, for she dedicates her class to deepening and deepening and deepening your realization of the God that you've been searching for. The God that you have found is within you and above you. And she, week after week after week, she is offering you such sacred realizations of the nature of God so that you can lay down your arms, lay down the sword, and decide once and for all, will you live by the law, which was the old way, or will you live by grace, which is the way demonstrated by Jesus the Christ. So before you jump into that camp, and it's the camp you're getting into, but every once in a while you got to squeeze yourself out of it. Because there's things that Jesus said, well, yeah, but, you know, that part over there, that part, one of the final pieces that sets you free. And no one in Christianity understands it. Resist not. Has anyone read your Bible? The Gospels? They're great. The 4 books of the Gospels, there's enough truth in there. Not all, there's a lot of pieces left out, but there's enough that there's lovely biblical literature passages. Resist not evil. Lay down your sword. But that is living by the law. That's the old way. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Give me your tooth. That's the sword. And it's everywhere pervasive in the world. The sword of competition. The sword of status quo. It's everywhere. Or choose to begin to live by grace. And you've been slipping into this idea. It's like a fine piece of clothes that you put on. It's so beautiful, but then you decide, you know, it's so beautiful, I better put it in the closet and only wear it on the loveliest days. Because I've got somebody out there to resist. I've got somebody out there to fight. I've got another president I got to slay with my opinion. So the next time you have an opinion of your president or any leader, I invite Jesus Christ to stand before you and say to you, what part of forgive 70 times 70 if necessary? And if you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to live a life of grace. You're in the old world. Live by the law. Live by the sword. An eye for an eye. We got it? So precious hearts, welcome to class. This weekend, we build a Untouchables miracle mantle that is made up of Buddhist energy. We place this within your lungs. And for all that is threatening the lungs of the people of earth, I say to you, having a Buddhist miracle mantle of love's mastery placed within your lungs is one of the healthiest things you could get today. So God bless you, dear hearts. We are just beginning. Welcome. You are 3/4 the way through. Seek, find, realize what you have been seeking. Realize what you have found. And when your realization is at the depth of your being, you are ready for the experience. And when the experience comes to you every day, the last of the human consciousness and all its error melts away from the flesh body, melts away from the brain, that thing you call a mind, the heart, the feelings. And you begin, precious hearts, to live a life by grace. Namaste.